Hi everyone, let's solve a few math questions today. Let us see if we are able to apply all the mathematical skills and concepts we've learned so far. The first question goes, look at the following table. It shows the number of vehicles parked in a parking area. Here is our table, and then my question asks me, if 2/5 of the total vehicles are cars, how many cycles are parked in the parking area? So from this table, I can see that I have three kinds of vehicles. I have cars, I have bikes or scooties, and I have cycles. It says that 2/5 of the total vehicles are car. I also have the total number of vehicles, which is 500. And I have the information that 2/5 of the total vehicles are cars. That means the number of cars are divide this by 5, I'll get 1. Divide this by 5, I'll get 100. Simply multiply, I'll get 200. That means I have 200 cars. From this, I can see that I have 125 scooties. That means out of this total, 325, which is simply 200 plus 125, make up for the number of cars and scooties. For cycles, hence, all I have to do is simply subtract, and I shall arrive at my answer. So moving on to the next question. Here is my right answer, 175. I have 175 cycles parked in that parking area. Moving further, it says, look at the given pattern and find the missing number. So let us observe the pattern and let's see what thought pops up in my head. Okay, so I see 5, 4, and 18. Okay, so I know that 5 times 4 is 20. And if I take away 2, I'll be left with 18. Let's see if the same rule applies here as well. 12 times 8 is 96. And if I take away 2, I'll be left with 94 and not 40. So that rule doesn't really work for me. Let's see. Let's try another operation. What if I add 5 plus 4? I'll get 9. Okay, 5 plus 4 is 9. If I multiply 9 with 2, I will get 18. Okay, that works. Let's see, 12 plus 8 is 20 times 2, I get 40. Okay, works for this, works for this. 3 plus 9 is 12 times 2. Okay, that is 24, works for this as well. Then that means I add 4 plus something, and whatever answer I get, I multiply with 2 to get 14 as an answer. That means this total must be 7. That means I have to add 3, and 3 thus becomes my answer. Moving on. It says Samir jogs every day as per the time shown in the given plots. What is the total number of hours he's jogged for 4 days? So let's look at the time. The starting time is 5:45 and the end time is 6:30. That means my hour hand, while it traveled from here to here, my minute hand has traveled from 9 all the way to 6, one round or 45 minutes, simply put. So he's jogged for 45 minutes on one day. I want to know how many hours he's jogged for 4 days. So if he's jogged the same number of hour, 3/4, that means 45 minutes is nothing but 3/4 of an hour. So if he has jogged for 3/4 of an hour every day for 4 days, he has jogged 3 hours. Moving on to the next one. It says Ryan drew a square and a rectangle. He wants to find out the difference between the number of lines of symmetry in the square and the number of lines of symmetry in the rectangle. What could be his answer? So a line of symmetry is nothing but an imaginary line that I can draw, and that will cut whatever my figure is into two symmetrical halves. So for the rectangle, I can cut it this way, and I'll get two equal symmetrical halves. And I can also cut it this way. And again, I'll get two symmetrical halves. That means for my rectangle, I have two lines of symmetry. For my square, I can cut it this way. I'll get two symmetrical triangles, two triangles. I can cut it this way. Again, I'll get two triangles. I can cut it like this. Again, two rectangles, symmetrical looking. And I can also cut it like this. That means for my square, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines of symmetry. That means the difference between the number of lines of symmetry in the square and the number of lines of symmetry in the rectangle is 4 minus 2. Difference means subtraction, which means 4 minus 2 is nothing but 2. Easy peasy. Let's move on to the next question. It says Ava is counting down by sevens and shading those numbers to make a pattern on the given number chart. Which number will Ava shade at the end? So she shaded 69 and then obviously 62 and then 55. So every time, as the question says, she's subtracting, she's counting down by 7. That means she's subtracting 7. Now, one way to go about it is that I start with subtracting 7 and I keep on continuing that till the time I reach the number where it is, where I'm required. The other way is that if I observe carefully, right, and follow the table of 7, 7 times 10 is 70, and I have shaded the number right before it, 69, one less than a multiple of 7. I look at the number 63, 7 times 9 is 63. 1 less, 62. 7 times 8 is 56. 1 less will make it 55. If I follow this path and keep on going with the table of 7, I will land up eventually all the way. The last 7 times 1 would be 7. And because I have to find, right, that what number will Ava shade at the end. So the last number would be 7 times 1, 7. And take away 1. That means Ava will shade 6 at the end. And that makes it my right answer. Jumping to the last question. It says Tina is playing with a die. She cuts the closed die along its corner and opens it. Which of the following net structures would Tina get? Now, one way to do it is look at this and try and open it. But because it says she cuts at the corner, she cuts along the corner and opens it, I could cut along any corner and open it. So a better approach or an easier approach would be to look at the options. So if I look at option A and I observe this figure, I can see that 1 is right opposite 2, and there is 1 space, right? And 4 is right opposite 5 whenever my die closes, right? So I have 1 and 2 on opposite faces and 4 and 5 on opposite faces. If I close this die, 1 and 2 will be on the opposite face. This will go here, this will come here, this will close here, and this will be at the bottom. This will be the bottom face. Yeah. So my 1 and 2 will be opposite, and my 4 and 5 will be opposite, much like this figure. And since figure A satisfies this equation, I do not have to go further. But even if I look at it, 1 and 2 here will make opposite face, but 5 will go at the bottom, and 4 will be right next to it, and 4 and 5 will not be opposite. Here again, if I fold it, 1 and 5 will be opposite and 2 and 4 will be opposite, does not match the given die. Here again, when I fold, I'll have 5 and 4 opposite, of course, because 4 will go at the bottom, but 1 and 2 will be adjacent and not opposite. Hence, this is also out of my answer options. That means I'm only left with option A. And I hope you learned something or you figured out an easier way to approach your questions. All the super best.